Hello. We are going to go over in this presentation um, a case urinary tract infection, and I titled it "A Case for a Kitchen Herb." So let's get started. Um, Overview. The intention of case taking is to gather information, identify the homeopathically relevant information, analyze that homeopathically relevant information, and then come up with the remedy that should be curative in that case. Um, Essentially what you're looking for is what needs to be cured. What is the remedy state underlying the case and the totality of symptoms? Um, and that's your job in the process of case taking and the proper line of questioning and your observations and all that. And then I just want to go over, this is probably one of the best books I've found, is Eugene Nash's How to Take the Case and Find the Simillimum. So this is actually free and it's online and it's at HomeoInt, so Homeo International. How to Take the Case and Find the Simillimum by Eugene Nash. And when you go through this, he really talks about you need to find the location of the symptoms, right? Right as examples, right middle chest, belladonna, sanguinaria, calcarb or calcostrium, lower right chest, chelidonium, calicarbonicum, and so on and so forth. So location is extremely important. The sensation, is it a grabbing pain? Here he says, is the pain coldness, heat, burning, sweating, cramping, emptiness, fullness, or any other abnormal sensation? Describe it as nearly as possible. So there's burning pain, sticking pains, fullness, constricting. These are just examples. There are many, many, many examples, and there's even a very unique one that we're going to see in the case that I am presenting today. Modalities, what makes the symptoms better and what makes them worse? Extremely important in a case. Um, so you have time modalities, movement, descending, ascending, wet weather, dry weather as examples. So anything, laying the hand on the part, rubbing the part gently, so many different modalities. So pay attention to anything that makes symptoms better or worse. Causes, what triggers the event here? What triggers the symptoms? Was it a change from hot, dry weather to cold, rainy weather? Was it a fright? Was it a breakup in a relationship? Was it a death in the family? Um, was it an exposure to some type of toxin? So causes, and then he lists constitution as temperament as one of the last things. And so that's kind of like just an overview. You can take your time and read over this. It's a short book. I think it's about 40 pages when you have the book itself. Um, so anyway, I like to share that book with people when they're getting into case taking. So we're going to get into the case analysis, repertorization, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to find the right materia medica. So here we go into the case. This is a UTI case for a kitchen herb. So this is a 21-year-old female. Um, and I had this patient years ago. I don't actually remember which year it was. Um, so she had a UTI for the previous 9 weeks. She's been to the doctor 3 times in the last 9 weeks. Each time she's been given antibiotics. They help, but then the symptoms return after she discontinues the antibiotics. They've diagnosed her with bacterial cystitis and urethritis. So the cystitis is the bladder, there's inflammation in the bladder, and urethritis is the inflammation of the urethra. And then in the process of case taking, I find that she's, over the last 8 years, she gets a UTI every 9 to 12 months. So she has a history of susceptibility, and we need to find the rubric for that since it's something that's recurring. So right before the symptoms came on, she was playing ultimate frisbee. She was involved in a collision and was struck in the pelvis or the vaginal area with an elbow. The next day, she felt very sore there, and then the symptoms started. And the symptoms are she has a strong urge to urinate, that she must rush to the toilet or she will urinate on herself. She has a strong crawling and itching feeling at the end of the urethra, near the opening. And this is where it pays to know anatomy, because there's actually a particular name for a bit of a widening right at the distal end of the urethra, right before you get to the meatus or the opening of the urethra. She gets episodes of chills in which she has urging to urinate up to 4 to 6 times in 30 minutes. After urination, she notices a white kind of milky discharge from the urethra. There is not pain during or after urination, just a strong tingling feeling through the entire urethra. There's a feeling like urine is trickling from her urethra when she isn't urinating. So that's very, very unique. She denies any lumbar or flank pain. She's afebrile. The UA shows elevated white blood cells, but no red blood cells. So this is just a very abbreviated case. There's a lot of information in here that we can take and repertorize. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm just going to close this out. Actually, I'll just minimize it. So when we break down that information, when we go back, think about NASH and what's important in case taking. So we have location, the distal urethra. There's a lot of itching and tingling there, and crawling. The name of that area of the urethra is called the fossa navicularis, and we can actually look up the rubrics for that. The urinary bladder is involved and the entire urethra, but mostly the distal urethra. So we have location, the sensation that the patient describes are crawling, itching, tingling, and trickling. Itching, very, very common. So if there's nothing unique about that, you can use it, but trickling and crawling are much more unique. Crawling is also called formication, feeling like something is crawling on you. The word formication comes from the word formica, which is a Latin word for ant. So that's where the word formication comes from. So tingling and itching, they're sensations, but they're very common. Trickling, not so common. Crawling, not so common. The modalities, while urinating, after urinating, and when not urinating. So urination is the modality. And, there are many situations in case taking where, like with the menstrual cycle, we want to know, are the symptoms before the cycle starts, during the cycle, at the beginning of the cycle, towards the end of the cycle, or after the menstrual cycle. Same thing with urination. Does it happen before, right at the beginning of urination, right at the end of urination, or after urinating? So we need to be very, very specific. Any concomitant symptoms? She has chills in relationship to her main symptoms, and she's got the white discharge in relationship to the main symptoms. We have a causation, and that was the accident that she had, the elbow to the groin area. And we'll see that the remedy that was given covers this as well. And in this case, there wasn't really much in the way of constitution or temperament. So that's not applicable in this case, but sometimes it is. All right. So what we want to do is we want to take each one of these and we'll go to the repertory. And the first thing we want to look up is the fact that it's been 9 weeks. So this is no longer an acute. So in the repertory here, you've got the repertories I have open. I have Farouk Master, I've got Murphy's repertory version 3, and I have Adonis. So I'm going to want to be in Adonis. Okay. And these are all my little tabs here. I've got my search tab, which I'll be using. I've got remedies. I can click on this window. I've had Illumina open. These are remedies I've been researching for other cases. Natrium carbonicum, kali sulfuricum, petroselinum, serinum, and so on and so forth. So I can close all those windows for now. So we want to go back and we want to repertorize. So the first thing we'll do is bladder, the fact that we have inflammation of the bladder and it's chronic. So she has chronic cystitis and chronic urethritis. So we can put that in the repertory in our clipboard. And there are 64 remedies in there. You can see the remedy, the name of the remedy, the author that's put the remedy in there. A for Allen, Oscar Boricki, William Boricki, and so on and so forth. So we have that there. If we want to put in the discharge after urination, so go to urethra. So what I'm doing here is, if I go to the binoculars here, these are all your different chapters. And so RadarOpus has a function. I'm just going to, I can click on this, each one, individually, and I can go to and try to find urethra, which is there. And then I can go and find discharge, and I can scroll down, and here it is here, right? And it's a bit cumbersome. I can type in white. And what I want to do, actually, I'm going to go back here. I'm not going to click on the binoculars. I'm just going to type in urethra and then press enter. And then I'm going to type in discharge. I'm going to go down, press enter. And then I'm going to type in milky. And then after urination, I'm going to click on that. And so we have our remedies here. We've got 8 remedies. So I'm going to put that in the clipboard. The next thing I want to look is the sensation. So the first one was crawling. So I'm going to go to, I'm just backing up here. We're doing backspace, urethra. There's a crawling sensation. And I told you there's a very unique part of the anatomy, the distal end of the urethra, right before the meatus, which is the opening. And that's called the fossa navicularis. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull that in because that's what the patient said. She had a crawling sensation. The other sensation we had was itching. Press enter. There's the anterior part, and there's the fossa navicularis. So I'm going to put that in there. Put it back up. And there was also itching, crawling, second, itching, tingling. So I'm going to back up. Tingling in that. Tingling in the urethra. And then the other one was trickling. So a couple ways we can look for trickling. We can go here to the search function and just type in trickling. Whether it's urine or water is trickling. And what I'm going to do, once I type this word in, I have to press enter so that this turns blue. You see how this is kind of a shaded or grayish blue, and this is like a deeper blue. So we know that this is active. And I'm just going to, let me just type in, say I type in burning, and it's still not active yet. So I type enter, now it's active, but I don't want that. So I can just click on the X to get rid of it. And I want to see trickling. So now I go search in all repertories, and I can look in all documents, all repertories, all open repertories, references, and I just want to look in all repertories. So whether trickling under generals, trickling like drops, trickling sensation, like that rubric there. So if you can't find it in like in the chapter, the urethra chapter, or the bladder chapter, you can always go to general. If you can't find something in the chest chapter and you know it's in the lungs, you can always step back and go to general. So I'm going to put trickling sensation there. The other thing was she would urinate frequently, right? So we go to bladder. So again, I'm just typing in bladder, enter, and then urination, and then urging to urinate, frequent, chill, frequent, urging, urinate, chill, during chill. Put that in there. There is a specific rubric that I'm looking for. So what I can do is type in chill and then urging. And I press, so I want the computer program to look up chill and urging. And I want it to look in all repertories. So bladder, in here, they during chill. There's that one. Oh, there it is. That's one of the things. It's this one, during chill, frequent, during chill. Put that in the clipboard that I'm building my case on. We did the itching, we did the trickling. Oh, the fact that she has these recurrent UTIs. So that's under generals. Like this, I just type in generals. Again, I just want to, if I press this green arrow backwards, these are all of your chapters. And that was under generals. And then in history, so you have personal history and family history. History of cystitis, recurrent. Let's enter. So we've got inflammation of the bladder recurrent. We've got 49 remedies. And because she gets every 9 to 12 months, it's recurrent. And that was it as far as what to repertorize. And so what I did, here's the fossa navicularis, the crawling and the itching, inflammation of cystitis chronic. And here's this remedy here, petrosalinum, you've got sepia, agaricus, cannabis sativa, which is a big remedy. So is berberis, vulgaris, and thuya. These are all big remedies for cystitis. So that's kind of how I searched. And what I want to do, let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So this is the repertorization that I prepared. So inflammation, chronic cystitis, discharge milky after urination, crawling in the fossa navicularis. The only remedy there is petrosalinum, and it's a grade 3. Urging to urinate frequent during chill, 16 remedies there. Petrosalinum is one of them. Urging to urinate sudden, must hasten to urinate or the urine will escape. That's a good rubric to use. So as soon as they feel the urge, you have to run to the toilet because they cannot hold it. Itching in the fossa navicularis, trickling sensation like drops, personal history of cystitis. And then this is a separate, I think this was Murphy. So that one of these was Adonis and one of them was Murphy. So urging to urinate frequent during chill. Petrosalinum is a grade 3. Urging frequent during chill. Petrosalinum they have here is a grade 1. They both have 16 remedies in them. So depending on the repertoire you choose, that'll have a different grading. So the remedy that was given, because it covered all the symptoms, the uniqueness of the totality, was petrosalinum. So petrosalinum sativum, also known as parsley. And so this is, common kitchen herb, strong indication. So we want to look at the materia medica. So how to access the materia medica. And so one of the things we can do here is, I'll double click on the crawling in the fossa navicularis. You see Kent has introduced or entered petrosalinum as a grade 3 under the crawling. And the crawling or the itching can be so intense that they want to stick something into the urethra to scratch it. So I can double click on it. And we see here, the materia medica is opened up. We've got Lipe and talks about stool, urinary agglutination of the orifice of the urethra by mucus. So mucus, agglutination of the meatus of the opening, albubinous yellow discharge from the urethra, gonorrhea. And so that's one materia medica. If I click down here, we've got Archibald, we've got Boger. We can click on Boger synaptic, no results found. So Boger didn't use this remedy. So we can go to Archibald. Urinary conditions, especially of the urethra. Ailments from trauma and bruises. So what happened? She took an elbow to the pelvic area, and ever since then the tissue was inflamed, so she's getting this recurrent cystitis, urethritis. To the bladder, sudden irresistible desire to urinate. Child jumps up and down with pain. She didn't have this particular symptom. Burning and tingling from the perineum through the whole urethra. She did have some tingling and some crawling, but mainly in the fossa navicularis. Urethral conditions with tremendous biting, itching in the urethra, wanting to stick something in it to scratch it. Milky or yellow discharge, and then it gives you a differential. Cannabis sativa, cantharis, clematis, sarsaparilla. Another way that we can do a search, and we can just type in petrosalinum, and you see petrosalinum sativum. We click on that, and then I can do a search in all documents or all references or all repertories. So let me do all repertories. So we have fear, suspicious, superstitious, fear, superstitious, superstitious. loss of vision, so night vision, or night blindness, I should say, itching in the ears and the meatus, noises in the ears, ringing and singing. It's got stomach symptoms, loathing of food and attempting to eat. When we get down to the rectum, there's itching from hemorrhoids. You can see there's a lot of itching. Bladder inflammation, acute, chronic, neck of the bladder, cutting pain. So you can kind of study the remedy this way. Dysuria, which is just painful urination, but that's a big rubric. There's 224 remedies, but petrosalinum is a grade 3. So we can study the remedy that way. I can go and look in all references. We've got pulford, voluptuous, tickling in the navicular fossa, or fossa navicularis, drawing and sticking in the navicular fossa. I can check Allen if I want, keynotes. I can go to Herring, there's 91 entries there. So Gentry, William Gentry is very good, very reliable. Boricke. So I can click on any of these authors that have entries. I can check out comparative materia medica. I can look at Gaskin. You can do a DDX on Thuya, feeling as if the urine were closely running along the urethra, like calibicromicum and petrosalinum. We can look at Nur and see what he's done, similar to cannabis indica, cannabis sativa, Cantheris, mercurius. Beginning to urinate, cutting, biting, itching. Beginning of, we can do therapeutics, we can do provings, philosophy, and proceedings. There's some cases here that you can look at. So there's multiple ways to study the materia medica. We can also look at, let's just look up navicular trauma injuries and dancing. So, dancing. Loans and trauma. So if I want to see where the rubrics are, the petrosalinum, sativa. And what I don't want to find rubrics that have all of these together. So I want to search at least one of these words. So that way the computer is going to search dancing in relationship to petrosalinum, navicularis in relationship to petrosalinum, and trauma in relationship to petrosalinum. And let me just do all documents so we can look at both materia medica and the repertories. On Kent's repertory, bladder, urination, dysuria, painful, child cries before urinating, dances around the room in agony. That's how painful it is. And we can see other remedies that are there. Apus is there, cannabis sativa, and Cantheris. Itching in the fossa navicularis, petrosalinum is a grade 3. You've got Thuya, ginseng, ferrum, clediba, cocculus, clematis. Biting in the fossa navicularis. We can also look at Murphy. So fossa navicularis is the main one that keeps coming up. We can look at Fatak or Adonis. Child dances around the room because it's so painful. The dysuria is so intense. Archibald, ailments from trauma and bruises. There's a keynotes, voluptuous itching in the fossa navicularis, like Thuya. So there's many ways to get the materia medica and the information that you want for a particular remedy. And so I showed you how to do the materia medica. You can double click on any remedy and you can search the materia medica. Let me just go once again, just to show you. Let's see. Let's say I'm in this particular rubric. So I'm in Murphy version 3. I just double clicked on it. Itching before, let's say itching before urination. There's tobacco, copavia. So I can double click on copavia if I want. There's copaiba. And it gives you some materia medica, mucus, genitourinary, bronchial, rectum, skin, taking cold, morning, foul, blennorrhea, bronchorrhea. It gives you a description. You can check others. You can check Lipe. Give you some materia medica there. You can do that with any remedy. Mercurius corrosivus. Click on it. Gives you an overview from here's Boger. You can go to Archibald. Corrosive element, mucous membranes, excoriate, burn like fire. And you can do that with pretty much any remedy that you have in the repertory. So that's kind of an overview of how to take a case, the intention, okay, that's really, really important. What are you looking for? How to break down the information, the homeopathically relevant information. With acutes, you're going to really focus on location, sensation, modalities, concomitants, causations, and constitution. If you use this template in your acutes, and you can build out on taking more involved in more chronic cases as well. So that's what I had to share with this tutorial. So if you have any questions, you can email or get in touch with me through WhatsApp. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.